All right. Welcome everyone online to One More Page Facebook page, YouTube channel, possibly even Eventbrite page. All kinds of ways for people to tune in this evening. So I usually give folks just a second before I get started. Just a quick reminder, if folks are on Eventbrite and you want to ask a question or make a comment, it's best to move over to Facebook or to YouTube because there's no way to comment on Eventbrite. So you should have those links, and if you don't, they are on the event page on our website. So we're going to get started. We are big fans of romance writers at One More Page, so we're very happy that we get to host this event ahead of Valentine's and Galentine's Day with two local authors who are also big fans of the romance genre and also creators. We have Meg Napier and Prue Warren with us tonight. Meg's first novel, Second Sight, was released a couple months ago, and her second book comes out next week. So I'm sure she will share some more about both Second Act and Second Sight this evening, as well as why second is in both of those titles. And joining Meg is Prue Warren. Her first novel, Sin and the Peanut Butter Cup, was just released last month. I know romance and peanut butter cups sound great anytime, but especially Valentine's Day. So just a quick info about how this works. Anybody who wants to ask a question, make a comment. If you're on Facebook, use the comment field. If you are on YouTube, use the live chat area. That way we can see everything that's coming in, like Jennifer Parkinson just did. So, and with that, I'm going to just disappear in the background, let everybody have a nice conversation. I will, if we don't get to questions in the first part, I will pop back in later and help facilitate some questions. So thank you both for joining us. Thanks everybody online, and let's have a fun Friday evening.
Yay.
All right. Thank you, Amber.
I've noticed that I can't see anything about who's online. It's nice to see that noted author J.T. Bach is in the comments section. Look, here are some more names. There's Mindy. Emery. Oh, this is very cool. Okay, I may have to turn that off so I don't keep looking at everybody else. Meg, you are the one who got the chance to have this conversation.
Well, I just want to say I am so grateful to One More Page, to Amber and to Eileen, who opened One More Page, for having us. If there's anybody local that's watching that hasn't visited One More Page, it's a really great store. And it was always my dream to have a launch for my book there in person. Who knew I was going to launch a book this year in the middle of all this craziness? But One More Page they have great selection of books. They have wine, they have chocolate. They used to have once a month wine tasting events that my husband and I would go to. It was our excuse for a date night, or our version of a date night. And so I'm hoping that comes to happen again soon, and we all get to go back and enjoy them in person. But this has been a great honor they've given to Prue and to me. So we're both really grateful. So.
Very grateful. And I'm looking in the chat while you're talking. My sister in Cumberland and my high school roommate in Moscow, Idaho are joining us. That's pretty far.
That's really exciting.
Books we'll deliver. We'll mail to you. You can buy from them. You can support independent booksellers. You don't have to walk down to Arlington.
Yeah. So. And they have, as I was talking about, they have a great selection of wine and chocolate, and as well as books, and that's all available online too. In fact, I had a piece of chocolate before coming on because that's what I do. And it was a piece of dark chocolate with rose hips that I got at One More Page, and it was wonderful. So
that sounds good.
Yes. But Prue, tell us about your book.
No. First, explain about the giveaway. Explain about the giveaway, Meg.
Okay, so we're going to have a little giveaway tonight. We're offering two $15 gift certificates to One More Page books to anyone who comments in the comment section and tells us what did we say, Prue? Your
favorite book, your first romance novel. Yes. But it's not, commenting does not automatically get you a gift certificate. That enters you into a drawing.
Yes.
And two people will be chosen.
Two winners will be picked at the end by Amber. And it's anybody who commented about what drew them into romance, the first book that drew them into romance. So
I have to turn off the chat. I swear. I'm like, look, there's Lane. There's Laura Yeager. There's Shelley. I'm turning it off. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But if you comment in the chat where I'm not going to look because I'm too easily distracted and excited to see you, list your first romance novel that you remember.
Right.
My first romance novel that I remember, Meg, was by Barbara Cartland. Are you as old as I am? Do you remember Barbara Cartland?
You know, I knew of Barbara Cartland,
Yeah.
but I never read
Yeah.
her.
I'm claiming, though, The Flame and the Flower by Kathleen Woodward.
Yes.
That's what I'm claiming.
Yes. The Flame and the Fire. Actually, the first one I consciously remember is, I think it was called The Night of the Seventh Moon and now the author has escaped me. But I did read The Flame and the Flower too. But we're really dating ourselves, Prue. We have to talk about modern authors. Who are some of your favorite modern authors?
Oh, well, some of them are in the chat. Some of them are right here in front of me. I'm reading your book right now. I mean, I'm reading two books right now. I'm reading your book and I'm reading Mindy Klasky's new book, The C Word, which is a coronavirus romantic comedy, which is very funny. Meg, how would you classify do you say that you write contemporary? Because Second Sight you're historic too.
Second Sight, yes, is an oddity unto itself. But Second Act, which came out in November, is a contemporary romantic suspense. And it's, well, I'm just going to steal the screen then for now. I'm going to tell them a little bit about Second Act. You can talk about Sin and the Peanut. Okay, so Second Act, here is Second Act, and it came out there we go. This is a proof copy, which is why it has that horrible stripe in the middle. It came out in November, and it is, as I said, a romantic suspense. It is based in New York City. So you're going to put yourself in the mind of a cold New York City January where a flu is sweeping through the city. And unfortunately, I wrote this, it is not COVID. It is just the regular flu that we all hated. And
that's funny because when I read it, I thought it must be COVID. But it wasn't bad. It felt like they were taking care of themselves. That was cool. I think your timing was really good.
Yeah. So, and I do have to warn you, characters in my novels tend to use colorful language. And when I was picking my excerpts for tonight, I noticed in horror that just in the short bit that I was going to read, there was colorful language. So that I'm going to try very hard to bleep it out so I don't offend anyone, including my mother, who might or might not be listening.
Is your mother allowed to read your books?
Yes, she does read them.
Oh, there are sex scenes in your books.
Yes, she forgets about the sex scenes. My mother has no dementia, but somehow she forgets about the sex scenes. I don't know. That's fine, Mom, if you're listening. Anyway.
I've forbidden my son to ever read any of my novels. He's just not allowed. He's not allowed.
Well, Second Act, which is the book that came out in November, the romantic suspense, has no overt sex scenes. So that it shouldn't, and my son did read it.
Your next book, though, if I recall correctly, is
it's a little
Un poco caliente. Woo! Okay. Will you read us a little from
a short excerpt
from
Second Act? Now, it is about a ballerina and a detective. So we're going to start with the ballerina. Remember, we're on a cold January night. Tuesday. The spot of blood seeping through the pale pink fabric grew bigger. Stop, Margot hissed, then glanced around, making sure no one had heard. Her chest heaving as she attempted to catch her breath, she glared at the crimson circle, just visible in the near darkness, willing it to cease its spread. There was certainly no time to do anything about it before her next entrance in less than a minute. Don't think about it. No one will see it. This is it, your last entrance ever. A choking tightness pushed up through her chest and she struggled to breathe. Do not cry. She tucked the ribbon she had been tightening into place and stood upright, grimacing ever so slightly as she made a quick circular movement with her foot. The ribbon was secure and the blasted blister wouldn't matter at all after tonight. Her final appearance as Giselle, a role she had danced at least 40 or 50 times in her career, and here she was, bleeding like a novice. With luck, her performance throughout the evening had been so spectacular that no one would notice the stain on her heel. Okay, maybe not spectacular, but it had been damn good. And the commotion over her retirement with the countless curtain calls and flowers should prevent any eyes from straying to her stained tights. She took one last breath. This really was it. She had to think young, be young, an innocent peasant girl, still besotted even in death with the handsome young noble who had literally broken her heart at the end of the first act. Dead now, as throughout all of Act 2, but still eternally young. Please, please, let these last simple steps be the most beautiful ever. Andy, the stage manager, stepped from his position at the booth and came over to give her a smile and a thumbs up, dimly visible through the dim blue stage light. He had stood at his station throughout her thousands of entrances and exits, and she was grateful for his compassion now. Yuri completed his final solo as the bereaved Count Albrecht. It was time, Margot's last entry. She inhaled and forced herself to ignore the tears that stubbornly refused to heed her will. This was her choice, and she would not cry. She moved from the wings in a graceful bourrée and went as a ghost to bid her beloved Count goodbye before he returned to the land of the living, and the curtain fell on her career. So that was Margot, her final performance. Understand, she's only 36 years old, because ballet dancers kind of go through their careers like football players, fast and furious and then out. Now we get to our detective, 4 hours earlier. The ding of the microwave and the ring of his cell phone were so close to simultaneous that Frank looked from one to the other, momentarily confused. Then the phone rang again, and he snapped to attention. "This is Sutton," he barked into the phone. "Frank." The prolonged enunciation of his name brought a scowl to Frank's face. He knew that tone. His boss was calling him back in, yet again. What was it about the off the son of a... Didn't understand. I have it marked. He had just finished his 6th 12-hour day, and he was supposed to be off. "Yes, sir." He made his tone as uninviting as possible. "We have a rather unusual situation, and I need your help." "An unusual situation?" "Yes, but I'm sure with the right attitude, you'll see it as a pleasant diversion." "A pleasant diversion? I'm supposed to be off, remember, till Saturday?" "Yes, I remember, but here's the thing. Conroy and Hernandez are both out with the flu. Mason was put on bed rest today for preterm labor, and Blackman had to fly to Miami for his father's funeral. I need you to go to the ballet." The microwave dinged again, insistently reminding him that his burrito was ready. So Frank figured he had heard wrong. "The what, sir?" "The ballet." "Did you say the ballet?" "Yes, we have 2 officers at every performance, and all our regulars are unexpectedly available. I'm in a jam, and you're the next contestant on The New Price is Right." "You want me to go to the ballet?" He tried to keep his tone polite, but the guy had to be kidding. His day had started at 4 a.m. when he had been called in after only a few hours of sleep. The flu was knocking out officers left and right, and no one healthy was being spared extra shifts. But the ballet? "Yes, the ballet. The performance starts at 8 at the Columbus Theater, so you should plan on arriving at about 7:30. No uniform. You've got nice theater clothes, don't you?" Frank had put this call on speaker while he got a beer out of the refrigerator, and now he glared at the phone lying on the counter. "I'm sorry, sir. You've caught me a bit off guard here. What exactly do you mean by theater clothes? Are you asking me to put on a tux or something?" No, of course not. Just nice slacks and a jacket to cover your holster. Regular undercover attire. Nothing too fancy. The whole idea is to blend in." "Blend in?" "Yes." "At the ballet?" "Yes." Frank shook his head in disbelief. "I don't think I've been to a ballet since my sister was a mouse or something or other in the Nutcracker 30 years ago." "Well, then it'll be a nice change of pace." "A change of pace?" "This conversation is getting old, Sutton. Go to the ballet booth, go to the ticket booth, show them your ID, and tell them you're replacing Mason. The regular guys love the assignment, so I'm sure it'll be fun. Then you'll be off, and I'll see you on Saturday." "Wait!" Frank's voice sounded desperate, even to his own ears. "What am I supposed to do there?" "You watch the ballet. Isn't that what I said?" "That's it?" "Yeah, no biggie. As I said, we have 2 officers at every performance, but with all that's gone down, you're all I have tonight. You sit there like a good boy, watch the ballet, keep your eyes open for trouble, and enjoy the evening." "Are you expecting trouble?" "Of course I'm not expecting trouble. It's a frigging ballet, for God's sakes. The easiest assignment you'll ever get." Chief Mackey was gone. Frank glared at the phone in his hand. The microwave dinged again. So that's the setup. It turns out not to be the easiest assignment of his life.
What I love the most about that is the microwave burrito, which sets up an entire backstory without you don't even have to outline it. I know everything I need to know about that guy because he's microwaving a burrito for his dinner. It's such a good touch.
Thank you.
A good touch.
Thank you. Now, you wrote a wonderful book called Sin and the Peanut Butter Cup.
Did. I'm going to try and hold it up. But like you, the camera's moving backwards. So I'm like, I'm put it over here and we'll see. There it is. Sin
There
and
we
the
go.
Peanut Butter Cup. Shazam! It's a romantic comedy. It's based largely on my mother, who before she died went through 2 or 3 years of just no short-term memory at all. I mean, she didn't have dementia, but she had no short-term memory. And so we had sort of a Groundhog Day existence where you could have conversations repeatedly until you got them just right. Man, I was, by the 3rd or 4th time through, it was a sparkling conversation. So that amused me. That gave me the giggles. And I thought of a romantic comedy that included a little old lady with no short-term memory. So that's Sin and the Peanut Butter Cup. And I thought, if you wouldn't mind, that I would read the prologue. Most of the book is written from the point of view of Sin and her love interest, Reese. But the prologue is written in Maddie's point of view, the little old lady. And she's all in the present tense because she has no short-term memory. Here's the prologue. The woman in front of me is so adorably cute that I want to pick her up and put her in my pocket. She's just a bitty mite of a thing, no taller than me, like a dark-haired pixie. She could wear a bluebell hat and sip dew from rose petals. And she has the light of challenge in her eye, like me. Now, Maddie, she says. How does she know my name? I'm delighted. You're not getting in this shopping cart. Oh, yes, I am, I crow. I want a ride, and I'm going to have one. I eye my prize, the shiny cart in front of the dairy case. No, you're not. She's a tiny linebacker braced between me and my goal. Do you remember what happened the last time? We needed the assistant manager to help me get you out. We had to tip the entire cart over and pour you out, and you laughed at him the entire time. I never did. Just the idea is making me giggle. I can get out of that cart as easily as I get in. Watch me. She raises a graceful mink-colored eyebrow at me. I don't think so. You're 93 years old, Maddie. Oh, Tosh, 93. I can't help but go off in peals of laughter at the thought, me, an old lady. Do you remember me? She asks. No, should I? You're cute as a button. I'm sure I'd remember you if I'd ever met you before. I'm Sin, short for Cynthia. I'm your caregiver while your daughter's in Switzerland. My daughter? Don't be silly. She's in kindergarten. You have just a little dementia, Maddie, and you're not getting a ride in the shopping cart. Her words surprise me. What an excellent joke she's playing. Now, please stand there and let me get your yogurt. I see my opportunity. She's bent entirely over the shopping cart to block me, reaching her arm past the now open door to snag a few containers. It couldn't be a more awkward pose, so that's when I strike, climbing quickly into the shopping cart of the blonde guy coming down the aisle. Ha ha! I scream in victory, folding myself up and plopping down on his groceries. I win! Madcap Maddie strikes again. The pixie gasps as she spins. The man pushing the cart utters a naughty word and then starts to laugh. Hello, he says. You've crushed a dozen eggs. I grin up at him. That makes me the prize layer at the county fair. I'll get the blue ribbon for sure. Best hen in the county. He and I exchange chuckles as the pixie rushes up. Maddie, what have you done? She turns to him. I'm so sorry. She looks at the guy, and her words dry up. She's not very smooth in the presence of a handsome man. Fortunately, I'm a charmer. You look like a surfer in a nice pinstripe suit, I tell him. I'm Maddie. This is Sin, not sin like sins of the fathers. It's Sin is short for, what was it again? Cynthia, she gulps, red in the face. The pixie is embarrassed for some reason. She's so cute I could hug her. And what is your name? I ask. Reese, he says, like the peanut butter cup, but with the Welsh spelling. Peanut butter cup? I crow. His name sends happy shivers all through me. I do love a peanut butter cup. Well, who doesn't? He's charming right back. I'm in love. He has beautiful brown eyes that hold on to his laughter and a broad, white-toothed smile and a square jaw, a classic good-looking guy. Sin is fluttering in agitation, and he turns to soothe her. It's okay, I can get more eggs. This gives me time to satisfy my curiosity. What are all these boxes and bags piled around me? It's Christmas, but without the wrapping paper, and I'm always interested in exploring. Would you look at that? My voice carries beautifully. I know how to make myself heard. This guy has 3 huge boxes of condoms in his cart. I gather them up to wave them in proof. Now he's the one who's red in the face. They're not all for me. Look at you, you delicious peanut butter cup, I cry. Is this a week's supply for you? I'm questioning him on his plans for a hot Friday night when the happiness drains right out of me because I see him, the other man, the evil nightmare, creeping behind my large blonde server, scuttling past the breakfast cereal like a rat, thinking I wouldn't see. Pick me up, I demand to the peanut butter cup. I've seen what this handsome man has secured under his charcoal pinstripe coat. Pick me up right now. I hold my hands up, and obediently he reaches for me. I pretend to lose my balance and fall against him, my quick hands reaching inside his jacket. Before he realizes it, I'm standing on the ground, holding his pistol firmly in my 2 fists. He rears back in astonishment, and I spin away from him in a half circle, locking my fury onto the oatmeal man. You're not going to follow me this time. I flip the safety and squeeze off a shot like Hector taught me. My aim is poor. The bullet passes between the oatmeal man's arm and his body, leaving a tidy hole in his leather jacket. Take that, you nasty thing. His mouth drops open in horror. He's a cartoon of astonishment, and it makes me scream in victory. Didn't think I could take you, did you, oatmeal man? Well, this is it for you. I shoot again, but the peanut butter cup is quicker than I expected. From behind me, a large hand appears and pulls my wrist up. My bullet shatters a fluorescent light in the ceiling with a startling spray of sparks, fireworks. Suddenly, I'm not holding the gun anymore. Hey, I cry, give that back to me. People are screaming, and the pixie is in tears. Maddie, what are you doing? She's upset, and I want to pull her into a hug. What's the matter, darling? Does something hurt? Come here and tell me about it. She lets me wrap myself around her, and a strong arm is withdrawn from around my waist. There's a handsome blonde man behind me in a charcoal pinstripe suit holding a pistol. He's upset. What's going on? Who are you? But he doesn't answer me. So I smile at him. It's a lovely day, and all the colors are so bright and cheery here. Why is everyone making such a fuss?
That was wonderful. I loved Maddie. I loved this story.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have to say, though, you market it as a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
And it is a romantic comedy, but there's a good deal of suspense in it as well.
This is an interesting point, though. But even a romantic comedy still has to have kind of a plot to it.
True.
Well, that's interesting.
But there was some meaty suspense in it. There really was.
There is some suspense in it.
It had me on the edge of my seat for a while. It really had me a little afraid for a little bit.
Oh, I'm very pleased with that response. Why? Thank you.
But
thank you very much.
A wonderful book. And I understand it's the first in a series, so there may be more.
Well, yes, there may be more, but I did just talk to my editor yesterday. I have Reese's partner in this book is a very good FBI agent named Dash Ashwood. What a great name. And I wrote a second book. I wrote Dash's story, but I just talked to my editor, and she said she thinks I need to take a break. She says I need to back up and start again with something brand new. And I'm kind of inspired and excited and already have. I've already got something percolating in my brain that's given me the big giggles, mostly based on my son, who was it's sort of like I like a happy, wacky character. When he was 4, he was just a perpetual motion machine and was continually getting into trouble and then being really happy about it. So I think my second book, the first one was about my mother. The second one might be about my son. I'm going to run out of people soon. Why did you write about the ballet? Do you have a ballet background?
I do not. I do have a family member who was involved with ballet for a long time, and I attended a lot of ballets, and
your descriptions seemed like you knew they really seemed like you knew what you were doing.
I've been to a lot of ballets. So,
it has to be more than that. It has to be more than that.
Well, so there are little bits about Margot's history that I kind of took from other people's history. So, yeah.
Little nuggets of truth.
So when you're starting out to write this new book that just came to you, what kind of writing process do you have? Do you plot it all out? Are you a pantser? Will you just sit down and write, or how do you do it?
I am now. I'm a total plotter now. I used to pants. I used to just sit down and figure the story would take me where it was going to take me. But then I put myself through an apprenticeship in how to write romances. Lovely Mindy Klasky said, you got to read in your genre. So I read really widely and paid a lot of attention. And now I believe that there's a skeleton to a romance, that you have to have certain things in certain orders, but the body that you build on it is what gives it its variety from every other romance in the world. So now I like to plot everything out before I get started. Which do you do? Are you pants or plots?
I'm a little bit of both. And in fact, just yesterday, I heard a third term called a planter, which is somewhere in between, where you have the seeds of the idea, you have the general idea of what you want your final product to look like, but you sort of allow
seat of your pants for the inspiration.
Yes, I thought that was a good description. So I sort of go like that. Yeah,
you're a planter.
And I also am not. I'm not a writer who says, okay, this is my genre. I'm going to write this, and I'm going to, if this succeeds, I'll continue in this vein. I write the stories that come to me. Second act came to me when I was sitting and watching Giselle, and I watched. It's not giving it away because it happens in the next couple pages. The male star in Giselle, his name is Count Albrecht. It's a crazy story. It's totally crazy story, Giselle. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Giselle, the main character, dies at the end of first act, but she's back as a ghost, and he's still in love with her. And he goes to visit her grave at the very end, and there are flowers by her grave. And I'm sitting there in the theater, I'm thinking, what if he smelled those flowers and died? I don't think you're supposed to think that while watching the show, but that's what came to me.
You were clearly moved by the artistry. Deeply moved.
It was a beautiful performance. It was wonderful. But that's what came to my head, and I was like, this is the book. I got to write this book.
So your Count Albrecht dies on page 5.
He does.
And Margot and the burrito
dies
eater.
In Margot's arms.
He dies in Margot's arms. And Margot and the burrito eater have to solve.
They have to solve the mystery.
And I'll tell you what, I was wrong. You had a really good murder going on there. I was reading along going, yeah, I think I know who did it. And I was wrong. And I just want to applaud you. It was a very satisfying book.
Well, I'm glad.
Very satisfying.
I'm glad.
And I'm reading. Do you want to get into Second Sight? Because that's what I'm reading now.
Second Sight. This is Second Sight, and it's a brand new book. It technically publishes on Valentine's Day, but it's available now. You can order it from One More Page tonight. Second Sight. It's a story about two couples in two different time periods. The first couple is a young woman in Tarrytown, New York, whose family is supporting the struggle against the tyrannical King George. And she gets to know a British officer who has been assigned to the area. And they fall in love. Her name is Katrina. His name is Stephen. And they fall in love. And the events, the time period does not really support their relationship. Surprise, surprise. Now, it's also the story of a contemporary couple that live in the Washington, D.C. area. The heroine's name is Catherine. She works as a copy editor for an international travel magazine called Geomonde. And our hero, Etienne, is a photojournalist for the same magazine. And unfortunately, in the process of working, he is blinded in a terrorist bombing that takes place in Egypt. So he ends up back in D.C. And the two actually have never met before. They meet for the first time, and they get to know each other. Now, the whole book is the story of both couples. And there may or may not be connections between the two couples. I will tell you in all honesty, it is not a book about reincarnation. I was once told by an editor that you can never use the word reincarnation because it scares readers off. They don't want books about reincarnation. And so that word is never mentioned in this book. Not on the back. It's not on the inside. And I'm not telling you it's about reincarnation.
I was just talking to Meredith Bond today, who is an author, who you and I both know. And she was saying that she used to think that she only liked certain genres to read, but then she discovered, like, she didn't like horror. And then she read a great horror, right? So I think the point is not so much people don't like reincarnation, is it a good story, or is reincarnation a cheap way out? So I can't wait to see how you're going to lace these two couples together.
See?
Give us a taste.
Just a little bit. I'm going to give you just a little bit. This is our contemporary couple, Catherine and Etienne. They've just started to get to know each other. Again, Catherine is based in the US. Etienne, up till now, has been traveling internationally, and he has recently been blinded and is very enraged at what fate has dealt him. But they've become friendly, and they've shared a very short kiss before this. But right now, they're in her house, sitting on her couch, talking with each other, and a storm has just started to come in. Etienne, Catherine reached out with her hand and gently turned his chin in her direction. Would you mind taking off your glasses? I keep thinking that I do know you from somewhere, but I can't remember where. Cat, he began, but she interrupted. See? You keep calling me Cat as if it's an old nickname or something, but no one's ever called me that, at least not that I can remember. Sorry. Catherine. Better? I'll take them off to humor you, but in general, I'm happier keeping them on. I've spent half my life photographing people's faces, their eyes, and I can't stand the idea of anyone looking into my face and seeing nothing. He removed the dark glasses and turned towards her. Catherine stared into Etienne's deep blue eyes and felt a wrenching twist in her gut. The room was darkened due to the storm and the power outage, but his eyes were visible and appeared completely normal. She reached up with both hands and held his face as she moved her own closer to his. Those eyes, those beautiful blue eyes, seemed to be looking directly at her, drawing her still closer. She ran her thumbs gently under each eye, and they closed in pleasure, a smile turning up his lips. The pull between them intensified, and she moved her lips toward his, her own eyes closing in surrender. At first, the touch was soft and gentle, a brush of greeting, like the flutter of butterfly wings. But then Etienne brought his own hands up to pull her even closer, and the kiss deepened. Their tongues met and danced, and Catherine felt herself drowning in a sea of escalating sensations. Etienne pulled her even closer against him so that she lay halfway across his lap. No kiss had ever done anything like this to her before. She felt at once incredibly turned on, heat shooting through her to her very core and down, and at the same time, she felt a wave of contentment sweep over her. A feeling of safety, of belonging, of rightness enveloped her, and when Etienne at last lifted his lips, she instinctively reached back towards them. He nipped lightly at her top lip and then worked his way over to the crook of her neck. You smell wonderful, he said softly, nuzzling against her hair just below her ear. Catherine reached up and took both his hands in her own, staring intently into his face. Etienne, I'm thinking that maybe you're better off keeping your eyes covered. I'd hate to think of women all over the Washington area trying to crawl into your lap and kiss you every time you took your glasses off.
It's so much hotter. I mean, second act is gorgeous, right? But it's almost closed door love scene.
It is closed
almost.
Door. It's all closed door, pretty much.
Second sight. I mean, you got some skin going on here.
Yeah.
You let your mom read that?
My mom's read it and forgot about the sex parts.
You can let your kids read that?
They probably won't read it. Well, actually, one of my daughters read it. She doesn't like the sex parts much. She kind of.
I bet. It's very sensual. Yeah. I write overt open door sex as well, but I have forbidden. No, there'll be no reading of any of the book. But no, not for my son. No, it's horrible for my sister. They don't neither. Both of my sisters have said, no, I don't really want. Yeah, never mind.
Well, okay. What kind of books do you love to read? Do you like heated books?
Oh yeah. A good dirty book. Love.
So who are your favorite authors?
I know you asked me that question before. I have a lot of books, but there are 2 bookcases in my bedroom that are filled with my favorite books, because under the theory that like a Kurt Vonnegut novel, aliens may come and scoop me up and take me away, taking my bedroom as a habitat for the zoo exhibition, I would need those books with me. So I have 2 bookcases full of favorite books. But in the rom-com genre, I would say Jennifer Cruzy and Janet Ivanovich, and there's a wonderful, one of my favorites now is this book called Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is a male McQuiston. I can't remember her first name.
I love that.
That
was beautifully done.
Yeah, really gorgeous, really charming. My only absolutely I am waiting with bated breath is a young adult series by Kresley Cole, who also writes smoking hot stuff, but she's got a young adult, the Arcana Chronicles, and the 6th one of that is like supposed to be out 2 years ago. I'm like, come on, get on with it.
Wow.
And what are yours?
I was thinking about that coming into here, and there are so many authors that I really love. I have a list. I think there were 12 authors on my list, or even more, which I can't even find right now. But no, I mean, I was trying to think, okay, narrow it down to your auto buys. The author, the minute you find out she has a book, you put it on pre-order.
Right.
And I actually have several of those. It's amazing to me. I love Sherry Thomas. I think she could write a shopping list and I would read it with pleasure. I love Mary Balog, Lauren Lane, Joanna Bourne, Jacqueline Winspear, who's definitely not even romance. She's historical mystery.
I don't know that name.
She wrote the Maisie Dobb historical series, which is wonderful.
I read Maisie Dobbs.
Yeah. Oh, Maisie Dobbs is fantastic. So she's got another one coming out on May. So I've got that on pre-order. All of these that I've mentioned so far are people that I hear out a book, I order it. And Patchett, who's not romance, but is incredible. Beverly Jenkins is fantastic. Lucy Parker, who's Australian, I think.
I don't think I know Lucy Parker. You've got some names I don't know.
She writes rom-com. And I think she's Australian. She's relatively new. She's very funny, very good. Kristen Higgins, Susan Elizabeth Phillips. I love her stuff. She puts out pre-order. I hit buy. Suzanne Brockman, Christina Lauren, Serena Bowen. I mean, there's so many. We are living in a time of plenty. There too many books.
Too many books. That's right. Not enough time.
No, not enough.
I used to dream that I would get locked in overnight at one more page, right? Or some other bookstore where everyone would leave me alone and I could just have the books.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always thinking, if the apocalypse comes and I've got my hordes of food and my hordes of toilet paper, I've got my books,
Do you love that old Twilight Zone where the apocalypse comes while he's in his bank vault? Do you know that one? It's silly. We won't take it on. The end is he breaks his glasses. He's there.
Yes, that's the only one I really remember. The glass is breaking, and it terrifies me. And I think partly because of that silly episode, I have reading glasses in every room of the house. I could not read a word without glasses.
That's so funny. I take mine off to read.
Oh my God.
That's just what my eyes are doing.
My husband does, but I have to have my glasses on to read. I literally can't read a word. If I'm out, I can't walk with my glasses on, which is just.
You can't walk with them on, really?
Walk. I can't. But I can't see distant either. So there's no excuse for this. But when I go running, I don't wear my glasses. So if I get a text and I think it's urgent, I stop strangers in the street and ask them to read me.
You're reading my text. I would take my glasses off to run simply because running is so loathsome and horrible that I would hope the world would blur away. I can't abide it.
See, now I listen to audiobooks while I run. And I found if there's a sex scene, I can get up a hill without even knowing I've been climbing a hill.
I can't hear an audiobook over the sound of my own heaving pants. That ain't gonna fly for me. Nice idea. Next try. What are you doing next? What are you going to write next?
Well, I am working on another book with 2 parallel couples. And I'm not going to use that R word, but it's
a good story. You can use it.
It's actually, I saw a friend in the chat, Anna Maria Anderson, and she has worked at the National Gallery in DC, and so she's the only one who's onto this story because it's actually based, again, the stories just hit me. It's based on an exhibit that was at the museum, and I saw it, and this story just came to me. It sort of comes to me in its framework.
Yeah.
I just have to fill in the details. So
what exhibit was it?
Of French painting.
So
it was a portrait of this random French guy from approximately 1770.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then matched with a contemporary couple?
Uh-huh.
Love. Very excited for you.
That's what I'm working on now. Yes.
Now, why do all your titles have second in them?
Just because I think we all do better with a little bit of practice. I can't, and I just, it's something that struck me, this, when I was coming up with the title for second act was the first one I really thought, this is right. Because I want to think, well, because the second act in this story, the action takes place at the end of the second act of the ballet. But it's also metaphorical for a second act.
Sure, this is where both of your characters enter into a second phase.
Right. And so I thought about that. I took that. And then when I started thinking other things that I wrote, some short stories that I have out there, and otherwise, I started thinking, a lot of things work better the second time around. When we got a little experience under our belt. And I just thought to myself, I'm going to stick with that, because at least I won't forget the first word in the name of my books. I might get them mixed up after that, but I'm not going to forget the first word.
One of the things I envy are the authors who have successful series where the titles, like the ABC Mysteries and Stephanie Plum is first, second, third, fourth. You could write second until you got bored with it. Then you could move on to third. Or first. Then you could move on. You could have second and first.
I think I'm gonna. There could be a lot of possibilities for seconds.
Second base. Yeah, little YA there.
Woo! You could write that one.
Okay.
Or we could co-author that one.
Okay. Excellent plan.
So, oh God. So, do you have the framework of this is a romantic comedy, your new one? Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a romantic comedy, and I'm trying to keep it really simple because I think as a beginning author, my instinct for Dash was to go too complicated, and that's why I'm not going to give up his story. But I think I need a couple more books before I'm skilled enough to take on a more complex plot. So this one is going to be very simple. And here's the working title. I'll tell you the working title. The Garden Gate in flagrant violation of the homeowners agreement.
Okay.
It just gives me the giggles. I'm gonna have my own son in there as a 4-year-old getting into unbelievable trouble, and then there'll be a puppy because dogs are always funny, and we'll put the two of them together, and she'll have the dog and he'll have the child, and they'll romance each other through the garden gate.
So romance readers talk a lot about their book boyfriends, their romance boyfriends.
Yes.
Do you fall in love with your male heroes?
Yes. Yes, I absolutely do. I absolutely do. And one of the things that I was taught would help to visualize the book when you start is to go on just like Google Images and pull out a picture of someone who looks like the character, right? So that you can sort of see them more as you're writing. I pin it up on Scrivener right there.
Wow.
And the second book, Dash, wasn't even, I just went straight to Timothy Olyphant. Beautiful, gorgeous actor, Timothy Olyphant. So I have not cast The Garden Gate yet because I'm still sort of figuring out characters and plot and stuff like that. But yeah, I fall in love with them. Absolutely. Absolutely. I know you do too. You must.
Yeah, I do.
How can you not love the guy who?
No, I very much fall in love with.
Starts out flawed, works through his problems, finds resolution in the heart of the right woman.
My editor did not love my character Etienne as much as I did.
I love just the fact that you call him Etienne.
Broke my heart. I was like, how could you not love him?
You're dead to me now. Don't insult my Etienne.
But he does have dark aspects of his character because he's very resentful of how his life has been abruptly changed.
Fair enough.
But I fell in love with him, and I to me, he's totally redeemed at the end, but whatever.
What about your redcoat, though? You must love him too, if he is some
Oh,
aspect
God,
of
he's
it.
wonderful. He is really wonderful. He is someone we would all really truly love because he is morally torn, completely morally torn. And that he comes from a family that has served in the military as officers for generations. And, he was sent to the colonies to do a duty. And then he falls in love with this tavern wench, literally. And he sees the people around him and what their gripes are, what their complaints are, and
you know what I think is
morally conflicted, and but he's a very honorable character, and he strives with all his might to make everything work.
I love romance because you're guaranteed a happily ever after. I love that. The optimism that you get at the end. But what strikes me about what you're saying now is that we're in a time right now politically where the two camps just aren't even communicating. We're so far apart and we cannot see each other's side. There's just no way. You think I'm an idiot. I think you're an idiot. You're just being fooled. So the concept of a character who's firmly from this camp, who gets moved over into this camp and sees a new path, that's pretty gorgeous. I mean, I think once again, your timing is, I mean, I would like a romance of someone who went, maybe I was mistaken. Maybe there's a different way of looking at this.
Yeah.
I'm in love with him now too. Thanks a lot.
Well, I think, I'm sure this is true with you, but I write the books that I would love to read. Right?
Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes.
You have to think what fulfills you as a reader.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah. My favorite moment is, it takes me a really long time to get to sleep. I lie down to go to sleep, and then it can be 45 minutes to an hour. So I have to tell myself stories, and I get caught up in some of the stories and refine them over a week or 2 weeks or something, until, like, I rewrite TV shows like all the time. Here's how this should be done better. But when it's one of my own characters, sometimes I get to the point where there's no question that I have to write this. It's like, it's not voluntary anymore. This has got to come out. I've created it. That's a gorgeous moment. That's godlike.
So when did you start writing fiction?
I'm not really sure when I started writing fiction, because, like, my sister Lexi is on this chat, and she'll confirm that I will I'll make up a story on the spot. So, but that's like telling people a story. Writing fiction. I don't know. As soon as I learned how to write, I don't know. When did you start?
I did not. I have found stories that I wrote in high school. And then I started a story right after 9/11, a romantic suspense that I then put away. I had a 1-year-old at the time, and
Right. That is soul crushing.
Yeah.
Enough said.
No, he wasn't soul crushing, but he did take up a lot of time and energy.
Your soul was crushed. Yeah.
No.
It's all right. You fluffed up again.
Yeah. Okay. But books have always been my lifeblood. I have always had books in my hand. I would read in school to any fellow teachers that are listening, because
they knew.
I have friends who are teachers. So I have friends who are teachers now, and I have been in school, and I've seen the kids with their whatever in their lap. I mean, now most of the time, unfortunately, they're doing things on their phones. But there are still a couple kids who try to read in school. I was always reading, no matter what the teacher was talking about. I was reading. I took books with me to the movies. I took books with me. I mean, it was like I had to have a book. And my friends all knew that I was going to write. It was just a matter of when. But I didn't get really serious till about 10 years ago. That's when I started.
Here's my version of, I'm an inveterate reader. My family loves the beach. They love the beach. But as you can see, I'm kind of a pale person. I don't love the beach. In fact, I hate the beach. So when I was a kid, we would always have to go to the beach. And the first thing I would do would be to dig a seat in the sand, put my towel there, sit my book on my lap, and read. To this day, I will burn on my thighs in the shape of a book because I never built up the pigment All my life on the beach was with a book over that part of my thighs. So that part just goes cherry red. It's just disaster. So I'm with you. The book was the savior.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's
I'm just gonna pop in. I haven't seen questions, but you guys have a lot of very fun comments. So I do hope if you don't do it right now, you'll at least go back through after. But I thought I'd pop up a couple because I believe this is about your mother.
Go. Wait, whose mother?
My mother.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, Meg's mother. I had a couple. There's a couple good ones. You guys will have to go back through.
I'm looking at them now. It leaves silence for the people.
I know. So
we do want to point out that if you put your favorite book in the chat, your first romance, you'll be eligible for a drawing. 2 people will win. So put your favorite book in the chat because we'll do that.
If you haven't done it yet, you still have time.
You have a couple more minutes before I pick the winner.
Yeah.
Look at what Jennifer wrote. We wrote the end of Game of Thrones in my head because I couldn't go to sleep until I did. We'll have to chat. We'll have to chat, JT.
There's another.
So there was one quick question I wanted to ask you, Prue.
Okay.
Your Sin in the Peanut Butter Cup is about Maddie, whom we met.
Yeah.
But it's also about the FBI agent whose gun she managed to grab hold of in the supermarket.
Right.
And about her caretaker, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you do research into the FBI? Into how they...
Well, my official answer is, oh yes, in-depth research. My unofficial answer is no. And I did, it's funny. I did a podcast. I was invited to do a podcast with these wonderful women, Bookcase and Coffee podcast. And they said, are you in the FBI? How did you get this so correct? I'm like, no. She said, are you sure? You're just not telling us. I'm like, no. So apparently I faked it good, man. Apparently. But I did have help. I was
convinced.
Thank you. I had help. Heather Maddox told me about you have to go through security to get to your office in the FBI. I was like, oh, duh, that makes sense. And another person from the Washington Romance Writers, Elizabeth Salo, said, girl, you don't know anything about guns. We have to take you back to the beginning and redo all your guns. So I had a lot of help.
Very good. Well, I have to say, I said I knew a lot about ballet, and I do know a lot about ballet. I've watched a lot of ballet. I've seen how ballet classes work and everything. But I was so fortunate. I was given a backstage tour of the American Ballet Theater in New York City a couple of years ago. And I learned things then about putting on a ballet that I had never known.
That's awesome. Any backstage tour.
Oh my God, it was incredible. So my ballet company is the Empire Ballet, and they dance in the Columbus Theater, which are both fictional. But it was all based on the American Ballet Theater and the actual American Ballet Theater, which is which also houses the opera company what's New York City Opera. So
I'm reading comments. I'm sorry. They're very funny. I've got the giggles.
Well, I am going to pick our winners. Okay. So I just randomly put everybody into an Excel spreadsheet and I picked 2 numbers. So our winners are, and I'm going to put my email address for the store in the chat. And what I want you to do is if you're the winner, email me and we'll connect to get you the $15 gift card. So Anna Marie Anderson. All right. Yay! The other one, let me look at my numbers here. Here we go. Mary Considine.
All right.
So congratulations.
Congratulations.
So I'm going to pop my email address in here right now. It does have a T in it. It's not just Amber. If you 2 can just email me, I will help hook you up with your gift cards.
And as Amber had said in the comments, the books are available. All 3 books are available to order from One More Page. And if you want them personalized, you just put that in your order and we'll be happy to sign them and personalize them for you.
That's right.
So,
and we'll get to orders. We're taking the weekend off, but we'll get back to processing orders on Monday. So
excellent.
So thank you both.
The groundhog said we have several more weeks of winter ahead of us, so getting
Some more books.
Good books are the way to handle it.
And happy Valentine's Day to everybody. May there be much chocolate and joy in your life. And if there's not enough, one more page.
Help.
They've got the chocolate, they've got the wine, and they've got the books. I don't know what one. You guys sell tea? I think I bought tea from you guys once. Do you have any tea?
Not at the moment. We don't. We may have some again. We can't wait to reopen and have people back in the store. But
I know around Christmas you were selling socks too. So if you've got the warm socks and the wine and the chocolate,
we have some socks. We still have some masks.
Yeah.
We try our best. We have games. We have lots of puzzles.
You were selling, lots of puzzles. I personally don't have patience for puzzles, and they just take time away from books. I mean,
we'll talk. I got to. I'll be ordering some puzzles.
Lots and lots of puzzles. But again, if you could read a book.
All of this is a happy Valentine's Day, in my opinion. I think everybody should have a lovely weekend.
And thank you, everybody who has joined us tonight. It's really great.
Thank you, Amber. This was wicked fun.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was very fun. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for everybody tuning in, and have a nice weekend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.